the story of a guy named Uzi, who's known for his diamonds and...
Hello, and welcome back to another review. This time we are looking at the intergalactic sensation himself, Lil Uzi Vert, as he takes us back to the spacey themes of what was Eternal Atake, and now is Eternal Atake 2. With a pretty sudden tease to the album, the rollout first started off with a pretty weirdly looking TV commercial that he posted on his YouTube. He then went into changing all of his album covers by adding the OG Eternal Atake album cover symbol into each album cover, which sucked because Uzi's album covers are known to be aesthetically pleasing to the eye, so when he did this and I was bumping one of his older tracks, I just had to see this symbol. But either way though, his rollout only started a week before the album fully dropped, which was pretty sudden, and had people like me worry if the album was rushed or not. Especially considering that Pink Tape only came out the summer of last year, and even that album had people doubting Uzi considering how subpar the album in general was compared to the entire discography. Even though Pink Tape did have some bangers on it that I still go back to. Though compared to the other outer space looks and color palettes on the first Eternal Atake, this album cover wasn't too amusing if I'm being honest. I do like how eerie looking it looks though, but it does not at all convey the space themes that were in the first Eternal Atake. Either way, I think it's about time we see what Uzi has been cooking for the year we haven't got music from, and see what this album's all about.
New contract, I read mine. They said I was lost. They thought I was a dead guy.
Okay, so once I heard that line on the track saying that he was on nitrous oxide, I instantly got Kanye Vulture's flashbacks and could sense what the rest of this album was going to sound like. I do think the track slaps though, and even though the chorus is pretty weak, his verses are quite clean, and Uzi is straight floating on that auto-tune in this song. I'm glad it was only 2 minutes of it though, because the chorus again is annoying as hell.
I like real ratchet bitches. I mean real ratchet bitches.
Looking back at the first time I heard this track when first bumping the album, I was like, wow, Uzi has still got it. Going 2 for 2 like this from Uzi was something I did not expect considering how rushed the rollout was. But yes, I honestly think this track does what the intro track does, but excels it. It also goes to say that the song sounds like something that it didn't get included on Pink Tape, but considering how chunky that album was, I'm glad he kept it for this album, because Past Me had me excited for the rest of this album after listening to this track, as his flow switches and quick rapping are peak on this. Boy oh boy, this is when the album face plants itself. I have no idea why this song is almost 4 minutes long, because there is so much spacing on the song where there are just random stops in the middle of Uzi rapping, and it's just so weird. The whole part of the song where he's like, she give me dome, she give me head like a comb, line that's just repeated over and over, just went to show that my goat is simply finished. Then he does this whole deep voice thing with repeating the same lines like he's Playboy Cardi or someone, and it's just so annoying. Like seriously, what happened to sticking to your own thing like the past 2 tracks did? And honestly, it's just such a boring ass song to the point where I had to face reality on my own expectations of Uzi on this album.
I get right with my thoughts. I said why?
Hairs in the Mars. Just the name of the song had me thinking of that time where Rick Ross was shouting out his pears.
Shout out to all the pair.
Which is indeed a whole ass throwback, by the way. But besides that, I believe the song in the past track was when Uzi took a big hit off that Whippets and made the rest of this album, because he is just straight up yapping on this song. I also don't get his obsession with doing this deep voice like he did on the previous track. It's just so goofy and doesn't match his music style at all. The chorus on this is just terrible, by the way, and I was honestly dying imagining the fact that he heard that chorus and said, yeah, let's just drop this.
Hey, you're not Big Time Rush.
Dude, you're not Big Time Rush.
We're Big Time Rush.
We're Big Time Rush.
After realizing how cooked the previous 2 songs were, I already knew this one was going to be bad. Considering how Uzi introduced some pretty out of the field features on Pink Tape like Bring Me the Horizon and how bad those songs were, I already knew he was about to cook up some Resident Evil stew with this one. And I wasn't wrong, because he spends these 3 minutes convincing us that he is in fact Big Time Rush. Oh, let's not forget also that he does his deep voice gimmick again on this track too. This song has legit no structure as well, with just random ass gap with nothing going on. And it's honestly just such a snooze fest when it came to this song, and had me almost grabbing my comforter and taking a nap, because I honestly feel that was the main purpose of the song anyways. Also, when it comes to the Big Time Rush feature on this song, it does not exist. They're simply in the intro, and that's really about it.
Do good with cheese, do it worse like feet. Count down like fleas, got hoes, speed. Fuck them hoes, get guap, that's real shit.
Definitely an improvement from 3 complete duds, so this song definitely gave me hope. Maybe those 3 songs were him on Whippets and he recovers from here. Because yeah, I did enjoy this track, and though it isn't something that flattered me, it's one of those songs that showcase Uzi's strengths with a catchy and strong chorus, and those auto-tune vocals that Uzi specializes in as well. Only thing that sucked with this song was how short it was considering how long the duds were.
I ain't fuck this bitch cause she stay. Yeah, huh?
First of all, applause for Uzi to coming up with great names for his songs, because this is just a straight banger. But again, I found this track to be meh. I didn't hate it, but it also didn't flatter me. It's definitely a vibe though, and has Uzi singing his ass off, but again, only for 2 minutes, so it just feels unfinished. Like, dude, you could have saved this for 1 more year and completed this album, but nah, fuck it, let's just drop this.
Bitch, I'm back outside and I'm gon' flex the check. Yeah, she a little thirsty.
Possibly my favorite song on this album. The chorus is just super memorable and catchy, and it's just reminiscent of his older albums for me. It goes to say that Uzi does his thing really well on this track, and though it is not something that is exceptional and I was surprised with this track, but it's a song that shows how much he has mastered his vocal and music style by nonchalantly dropping one of the catchiest choruses on this album. So though I might have thrown trash cans on him for that 3-dud run, I can't lie, I felt pretty relieved once I hit this point of the album because I had really low expectations for this album, in honesty.
I'm running through shit like I'm not even really trying to make a hit. Most of these niggas, they talk out they lip till you pull up right.
Again, I was surprised from this song because I actually enjoyed the track even though it is quite simple, and it's quite obvious that Uzi is not even trying to challenge himself when it comes to his sound on this. He just does his thing on this, and for me that simply is enough. It's short once again though, like most of the songs here, which is what bothers me the most about this album.
How the fuck keep my enemy in his main car? It's a 63. How the fuck keep my enemy?
Though this wasn't as offensive as some of the other songs on this album, I just think Uzi sticks to his formula a little too much on this track. It's super similar to most of the songs on this album, and yeah, nothing special going on with this one. There was really no excitement factor at this point on the album, and it was clear that Uzi was in some sort of tunnel vision when he dropped this album.
Now I'm getting cash and these niggas I know. I've been fucking hoes way.
Yeah, I'm sorry everyone, but I'm honestly feeling like I'm repeating myself over and over with this review. Because although this is something different within this album, we have already seen this emo style so many times on different albums. I mean, we literally had a song with the same sound a year ago that sounded just so much better. The amount of times he is offbeat on this track just felt agonizing to me as well when listening to this, considering how much I enjoy Uzi's music in general. So yeah, another dud. What's really new?
Please don't do the most right now. If I hit you up, please don't go right now.
The intro to this song really had me thinking I was listening to a Sleepy Hollow track. But no, this is just Uzi going to his emo phase on this song. I can't hate it though, because although again he sticks to the formula, wow, what a surprise, it works for me. It's a vibe that I can kick back and listen to, and though again it's only 2 minutes, it's still a low-key emotional track that Uzi does well on. It's one of the bangers off of an album full of mediocre tracks.
She tryna fuck me, I told her
Uzi went straight hero to zero in just 2 tracks. Because why the fuck is my guy moaning on this song several times on this track? To play devil's advocate though, this beat is pretty solid, but he just simply ruins it by spending more than half of the song moaning to cope for a chorus, which is just hysterical in my honest opinion. Like, you can really tell this dude was rushing to drop this album.
I'm addicted to sex. I keep trying to quit, but
So it looks like we'll have our second terrible song of the year where Perky is in the title.
Are you friends with the Perky man?
Though I can appreciate Uzi phasing this album from hype to emo, this is just not it. It's almost like he's trying to make a Ty Dolla $ign song while also making sure not to copy his homework too much. It's not too bad because of the escalation that this song does from start to finish though, but it's just mediocre like the rest of this album is.
call me when it's all bad. I fought for you and I call.
We're almost at the finish line here, with the song before the outro being a pretty decent track if I'm being honest. Yes, I know for someone who isn't too familiar with Uzi's music, you can definitely see the bias through my voice. But I can't just put the fries in the bag when it comes to Uzi. I think this track, though isn't crazy, is a vibe, and I just like the emotional and melodic feel that this song has. It's no denying that his vocals really shine through this song, and that's what really hooks me to the song in general.
Hi, how are you doing? I'm Lil Uzi. Yeah, fuck on me.
For an outro, this feels like I'm missing a secret track list, as the song just feels like it should be placed in the middle of any other album. But before y'all say I'm glazing Uzi on this review, I'm just gonna say that I also enjoyed this track. The beat is pretty smooth, and Uzi nonchalantly rapping on the track just hits for me. It matches the exact same feel rappers like Young Nudie commit to, and I like that, so why shouldn't I enjoy this one? So yeah, after listening to this album, it's safe to say that he completely ignored that whole outer space vibe from the first Eternal Atake, like it almost never existed. Because nothing on this album screamed outer space compared to the first Eternal Atake. Which then again, why would you make a sequel to the first one when you weren't even extending that album? Might as well kept to the Love is Rage 3 title that he was teasing, even though I don't think that would have been a good idea either, as I wouldn't want him to ruin that name with this album.
What about Love is Rage 3?
Oh yeah, that's coming. Not too long. Probably, like, honestly, I know I usually be lying, but a couple months.
Because although there are some decent songs on this album, there are absolutely no, like, astounding bangers. The only thing that I would consider to be close to that is Mr. Chow, but I would place that much more close to a good song than a banger. There are also some strong duds on this album that had me pretty annoyed when listening to them. Pink Tape, which was the album he dropped last year, was a much more better listen, as the duds there weren't as bad as the ones here, and at least that album had definite bangers. I do have to appreciate Uzi though for at least dropping a structured album this time, considering how chunky Pink Tape was. But yes, it is honestly sad to see how much Uzi has fallen off as an artist, and if he's considering to drop similar music to this album, I respectfully think it's time to drop the gloves and call it a career, as he's mentioned retiring before. This is also in one of the arguably several albums that have been disappointing from well-developed artists this year, which has me thinking that although 2024 has been a stacked year for music from well-known artists, the quality of these albums haven't been as good as we thought they would have been. But anyways, yeah, if I were to give a score on this album, I would probably just give it like a 3 out of 10. Yeah, if you're watching this review and you're still around, I applaud you, and thank you for sticking around to listen to me poop on what could have been your favorite artist. Glorilla, someone who sparked back my interest again with her killer feature on Sticky, which was on Tyler the Creator's newest album, Chromacopia. By the way, please check out my review on that album. She's come back with another album in this same year where she dropped her debut album in March of this year. I actually really enjoyed that album, by the way, and recommend it to anyone who wants to check it out. Anyways, it seems like Glorilla went for something more 90s R&B this time, especially with that slick album cover. The title of this album being Glorious is kind of cheeky to me as well when you come to find out that her real name is actually Gloria. Here's to hoping that this album hits as much as the previous one did. But you can check out my review on this new album next Monday. And yes, this time I actually hope to upload it on a Monday and not on a Tuesday. So yeah, put on your earbuds and jam to this album for the meantime while I cook up this review.
How the fuck keep my enemy in his main car? It's a 63. How the fuck keep my enemy in his main car? It's a 63. And I heard that bitch at least